Now that we have the tributary widths, you need to multiply them by the dead loads and live loads to get the loads in kips per foot. Let's look at that. So these tributary widths for the girders right here, and these tributary widths for the beams need to be multiplied by these loads. For example, the floor. You need to multiply by a total of 78.5 PSF dead. And the live load, it depends where you are. Out here in the offices, it's 65 PSF live. And in this interior corridor and storage, it is 100 PSF live. And this gets confusing and here are the loads for the roof. It's much simpler. It's 20 PSF live everywhere. This is not the roof drying. I didn't want to re-dry it. There's no corridor and offices on the roof. And 8 PSF dead plus 62 PSF self-weighted a slab for 70.5 PSF dead on the roof. This floor load, though, gets a little confusing depending if you're a beam or girder, if you're having the 65 or 100 PSF. What you need to do is overlay this picture right here with on top of, so you need to overlay this picture right here for the live loads on top of this picture right here to see what loads are on the beams and girders. So I've done that. So here you go. If you look at this view, there's the 28-foot corridor with 100 PSF and the 29-foot wide office spaces on either side at 65 PSF. And this is going along the 5 girders, right? So let me show you that. See here, this picture here is going along the orange girders. Oops, I need to highlight one more girder. Here's the 5th girder. There we go. So these 5 orange girders are being overlaid with these loads with 100 PSF in the middle 28 feet and the 65 on the outer 29. And so if you look at this view this way, what you would see is this right here. What you can see, if you overlay it, let's see if I've overlaid it on the girders. Here it is. So I've overlaid that load on the girders, and you can see girder C is completely loaded with 100 PSF. Girders A and E on the outside, those spandrels, they're covered with 65. And girders B and D, right here, B and D, they have a combination of some 100 and some 65. What we're going to do for my class to make this easier, we're just going to put 100 PSF live everywhere on the floors. I'll explain why we do that for future redesign purposes. For example, let's say you sell the building and now they want to put offices sort of in the middle when they remodel and storage on the outside. You really wouldn't want to do that because you want the windows on the outside to be the offices. But if for some reason they redid that, they'd be able to because we designed the whole floor for 100 PSF everywhere. Similarly, when you look at the beams, okay, so the beams, they get loaded. Okay, so look at the green lines. So the green lines here, these green beams like 2, 3, 4, and 5, on the outside edges, they're loaded at 65, and in the middle section, they're loaded with 100 PSF. And that's what this looks like here. So the beams, they have 4 spans. Like this green beam 2, it spans 23 feet, 20 feet, 20 feet, and 23 feet. Here are the spans. Okay. So the green beams go 23, 20, 20, 23. I've drawn that here. And in the middle 28 feet of this beam, it's 100 PSF, and on the outer, the beginning and ending 29 feet, it's 65 PSF. Again, for my class, to make this easier, we are just going to put 100 PSF everywhere on the beam. We're putting 100 PSF to make this easier for my class. We're just putting 100 PSF everywhere on this floor right here, okay? We're just making the whole thing 100 PSF. Okay, those are the live loads and dead loads. And what you need to do, you need to multiply them by the tributary widths. So this will be on the floor 16 times tributary width, and the live will be 100 times tributary width. And we're just going to make it the same for corridor and office, just to be easy. On the roof, we're going to do 8 for the dead times tributary width, and here we're doing 20 times tributary width. Okay. On the girders, this is a little, and then what you have to do here, you have to estimate the size of your beams and put them in there. And I've estimated these as 12 inches by 24 inches. And you need to figure out the unit weight for that and put that in there. What we're doing for the girders, the dead, including the slab, is 16 times tributary width. Live, we're taking 100 times tributary width. For the floors and for the roof, we're doing 8 times tributary width and 20 times tributary width for the roof. This is the same thing. You need to estimate the self-weight of the girder, and I've guessed these to be 16 by 32. You'll need to update these after you get the final sizes, but what I want to talk about is this column right here. Okay. The orange girders are carrying the green beams. Okay, so these orange east-west girders are carrying the north-south green beams. What we need to do is get the weight of those beams, and we're going to just distribute that load onto the orange beams. So let's count them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 21 beams. Okay, so the total weight per foot of the beam. So let's do it for girder C. This distance here is the tributary width for girder C, which happens to be 20 feet. The total weight of the green beams, there's 21 beams times the self-weight of the beams times a length of 20 feet. Okay, so the beams weigh, let's say 300 pounds per foot, the green beams. 20 feet of them are on girder C, so that's self-weight times 20. So each green beam, let's say it's 300 pounds per foot times 20 feet, that's 6,000 pounds for every green beam, and there's 21 of them. I'm going to distribute over this total distance here of 35 times 5. That distance, let me do that, 35 times 5 is 175 feet. So divide this whole thing by 175 feet. If the green beams weigh, let's say, I'm going to make this up, 300 pounds per foot, this would be 21 times 300 times 20, all divided by 175. That will add 21 times 300 times 20 divided by 175, 720 pounds per foot, or 0.72 kips per foot. The last thing we need to do is figure out how much these beams weigh per foot. Okay, you can get that number from, let's see where our loads score sheet is. There it is. Here, this is the beam self-weight. Now, let me show you how to calculate how much a 12-inch by 24-inch beam weighs, and it's a little trickier than you think. Here's the slab. Here's the beam. This is 24 inches. This is 12 inches. Our slab was 5 inches thick. That means the part of the beam that's under the slab is 19 inches. The weight you need to calculate is 19 by 12, not 24 by 12, because this is the part of the beam that's below the slab, adding extra weight. And so this weight is 12 by 19 over 144 times 150 pounds per cubic foot. And that's 238 pounds per foot. I had guessed 300 pounds per foot. I guess I should have done this first before I did this. So updating this, this is actually, what did I just say? 238. So 238, and that makes this number. $570, oh, quite a bit less, 571. Let me double check that. 21 times 238 times 20 divided by 175. Yep, 571 pounds per feet. And that was for beam C, which had a 20-foot wide tributary width. So let me write that one in, 571. Okay, so the dead load due to the beams on girder C is 571. And that one had a tributary width of 20 feet. You would proportion it according to the tributary width, and so you can get A and B very easily, okay? And that's how you would fill this entire thing out. There you go. We have one last thing to do to this, and that's live load reduction. I'll do that in the next video.